This video is to show you how to create tables. So as you can see, I've went ahead and outlined my two tables that I'm going to be doing in red. That's going to make it a little easier for you to see what I'm doing on my front view. My top view makes them pretty clear. They're just right here and right here. For a circle table, it's actually really easy. All you have to do is do your compass, draw a circle on a new piece of paper, and cut it out to the same size. That's going to be my table top. Then, depending on how many legs you have, I'm just going to do one in the middle because that's what my drawing shows. I am going to cut out a piece of paper that is just a little longer than how tall it actually is. So if I go over here, you can see that I've given myself enough on each side to create little tabs for me to attach this table to. The reason I need the tabs is because if I don't have them, I have nothing to attach. Then you will either with tape or glue or whatever you have to attach with, connect your little leg to your table. If this is a circular table, you should try to get it as close to the middle as possible. If this is a square table, you have a little bit more liberty and you can just place your legs in either 3 sides or 4 sides, depending on how you drew them. Then I made sure to give myself a tab on the other side, so when I go to attach my table to my floor, I have something to attach it with. The very important thing to note is that the length of your leg needs to be a little shorter than your actual paper. That's because you have to give yourself those tabs. Without the tabs, you have nothing to stand on. As far as a square table goes, I'm going to be a little less picky than I have been in the past, and that's just because tables are sometimes pretty difficult. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to say my table is exactly 2 feet or 1 inch. So I'm going to give myself a little dot there. I'm going to go a little further, and I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to give myself a reference line. And for tables, you have a little bit of liberty because you don't actually need them to be like super specific. So I would go through and I would actually cut myself a really long strip of paper that is this same width. I'm going to cut it that long, and that's probably going to be enough. So I'm going to cut. I'm actually using 2 note cards, so those came apart on me, so I'm going to need to tape those back together. You also want to make sure that both of your ends are at 90-degree angles. You don't necessarily have to worry about that yet, but you will want to keep that in mind. So since I'm using the edge of my note card, I know for sure that that's already a 90-degree angle. But if I were using a cutout piece from both ends, I would need to go through and double check those 90 degrees. Now, for tables, I'm going to let you guys keep 2 of your sides closed to make it a little bit more stable. So for my table, I would start with this corner and I would fold myself a little tab. Remember, tabs are how we connect everything to the ground, so they are very important to have. Then I would say that my table is 3 feet tall. And from where that tab starts, I would measure up 3 feet or 1.5 inches. 3 feet, 1.5 inches. Remember, I'm starting where the fold starts, not where my paper starts. And I'll fold myself a little line. This, once we make it 3D, is going to be this side of the table. Then we have to figure out how tall or how wide, our top is. So mine is 2 feet across, which means it's 1 inch. So I am going to draw just a little dot that says that's 1 inch. That's 1 inch. Connect them. And now I have my table top. So now I have my left side, my table top, and now I need this last side. Since my legs should be even, that means that that is going to be 1.5 inches or 3 feet, 1.5 inches, 3 feet. I'm gonna draw myself a reference line. So now I have this side, I have this side, and I have this side. On this side, I need to make sure that I give myself a little tab. So I'm gonna give myself just a little dude to give me a reference. You can see that my line didn't quite get 90 degrees. So I would go back through and say, hey, that doesn't look right. I would fix it to be 90 degrees using my protractor. Then you can cut out, once you've figured out, make sure you give yourself a tab. Don't cut off your tab. So I measured out a tab, and I'm gonna fold that tab now. This should be about the same size as it is on the other side, but it doesn't need to be exact. Then for tables, I'm just gonna fold on these lines, and I'm just gonna kind of keep going around, and they're gonna be kind of the same fold. So I'm gonna fold, and then once I stand it up, from this side it looks like this. If I folded it right, once I put it on my front view, it should be pretty even with the table that is already drawn. Remember, you need your tabs, so that should be where those folds end. Then when I go to tape it down, I'll just tape those tabs down to the ground, and then that will be my table. You can leave these sides like this. I don't care if you don't have legs. If you would rather create legs for them, that's totally fine with me. You're just gonna cut up till you reach that line, cut across however long you need it to be. You're gonna measure this, you're not gonna eyeball it. Cut up, and then that'll leave that open for you. And now I have legs that I can attach. So if you would rather it be a little bit more realistic and actually have legs, you can do that and then just tape those legs down individually. So whether it's like this or it's like this, my measurements are the same for my table. That's how you create tables.